Warning, the following video contains some very negative and pessimistic opinions. If you disagree, I fully support your choice and respect your opinion. However, it is not mine. Salutations, denizens of the internet. I'm Byte27, and would you look at that, it's almost the end of summer. And you know what that means. For many of you, both your seasonal depression and your school year is about to start. But more relevant to this channel and its nerdy focus, a new season of Kamen Rider is about to begin, and I, for the first time in my life, am not excited for this new season. So sit back and relax because I'm about to take a bite out of why I am not hyped for Kamen Rider Zeztz.
Read the disclaimers, and please use common sense.
Okay, so if you haven't seen the Blockies video I made for It Figures, here's the lowdown on why I care about a show from Japan that's made for kids. I grew up loving Power Rangers, and back in high school, getting my first personal computer allowed me to connect to the franchise in a way I had never been able to before. It also allowed me to learn more about the franchise than I had previously, including the genre name, the series that it was an adaptation of, and that the show it was adapted from had a sister series called Kamen Rider. And to put it bluntly, it was love at first sight. I was just pulled in by Kamen Rider Zeztz, and well, things have never been the same since. Sadly, the series wasn't available officially over here in the US, so I had to at the very least attempt to pirate the series on websites like Kiss Cartoon or the like. However, it wasn't very satisfying because either A, the audio always sounded like sandpaper, B, the video always looked like sandpaper, or C, the website is downloading about 1 million pieces of malware without me knowing, and also showing me websites that are trying to turn me into a high-key gooner. My point is that even if the official releases aren't perfect, I still vastly prefer them to the unofficial ones. And while I may not be able to watch full episodes of Kamen Rider for the most part, I've still more or less kept up with the series since GO. Though sadly, the only series I've watched front to back has been Kamen Rider 01, and that leads us perfectly into Kamen Rider Zeztz. Kamen Rider Zeztz allegedly follows a secret agent fighting in the dream world in order to protect the waking world, which honestly sounds really cool. Dreams can be a great source of inspiration for rider suits. I mean, Kamen Rider Gav had some amazing suits, and that was honestly one of the best rider series that we've had in years. Oh man, they could not mess this up. Seriously? We're redoing Ichigo again? Already?
Oh, that's real nice.
Now, many of you may be confused. I thought this was Kamen Rider Zeztz, not Ichigo Kurosaki, and no, it's not the main character of Bleach, unfortunately. No, in the Kamen Rider fandom and in the official show, Kamen Rider Ichigo is the first Kamen Rider. And I'm bringing him up because Kamen Rider Zetz's design is an obvious homage to Ichigo, right down to the colors used and the shape of his chest design. Now, I'm sure many of you don't see why this is a problem. If anything, it's a cute callback to the original series. And I guess on some level you're right, however, this is not the first Ichigo-based design, and it's not even close to the second or third. The list of riders based on Ichigo includes Kamen Rider Century, Kamen Rider the First, Kamen Rider Ichigata, Shin Kamen Rider, Kamen Rider Sango, Kamen Rider Yango, Kamen Rider Gazer Zero, Kamen Rider 01, and Kamen Rider 001. And I'll be the first to admit, I am more than likely missing a couple of these. And I'm also disqualifying any of the riders who have forms based on Ichigo. If I do that, there's a non-zero chance that I will be wasting the rest of your day/afternoon by reading off entries from the fandom Kamen Rider Wiki. And that's just my problem with the base suit's aesthetic. Believe me, I have other issues with the suit besides the fact that it's painfully uninspired despite being related to dreams. Now, most of the hatred I feel for this suit is down to my subjective feelings. However, what I will say about the suit I feel is objectively true. For starters, it does a horrible job conveying the theme of Kamen Rider Zeztz. Granted, this ain't a problem unique to Zeztz. Other Kamen Riders throughout history have also done a horrible job conveying their superhero theme. Looking at you, Kamen Rider Geats. But ever since Kamen Rider Double hit the scene, we've had far more hits than misses. Let's go over a few quick examples. Kamen Rider Drive, obviously car-themed. His eyes look like headlights, the back of his head has a spoiler on it, and he also has a tire across his chest in the shape of a seatbelt. Another good example is the space-themed Kamen Rider Forze. His head looks like a rocket ship, the entire suit is very much like a spacesuit, and his armor is very spacey. However, Zeztz is purported to be a secret agent, but nothing about his suit screams secret agent. Instead, the suit screams generic troop builder. Actually, no, I take it back. Instead, it screams Good grief, he's naked! Because there have been several troop builder riders in the past. However, they've each not only had more personality than this in their suits, they've also had more bulk than this. However, nothing about the Zeztz suit has the same bulk or personality as any of these. And that's a big part of why I'm worried about Kamen Rider Zeztz. A fan of spy shows won't look at this and say, hey, that looks spy-like, I might be into it. Doing something like that would be incredibly important to building an identity for the show. I'll put it to you this way. If Kamen Rider 5 looks more spy-like than Kamen Rider Zeztz when its show theme isn't even spies, you know Toei's done goofed. However, luckily for me, there's a good chance that we might actually get some suits that I like from the series because of the form-changing gimmick. Here's the thing about most modern Kamen Riders. They have multiple forms. This is a huge benefit to the series. If you're not liking how a Kamen Rider looks in their base form, maybe some of the alternate forms will do it for you. For example, I'm not the biggest fan of Kamen Rider Gotchard Steam Hopper. However, I absolutely adore Gotchard Needle Hawk. It's just a cooler form in my opinion. Oh hey, the Kamen Rider Zeztz opening lineup for forms just got leaked. This should be good. Why did I get my hopes up? To be as blunt as I possibly can, I don't find any one of these forms to be appealing in any way whatsoever. They're the most nothing burger rider designs I have ever seen in my life. I hesitate to even call these designs because they barely feel like they were designed by a human. The point I am trying to make is that Zeztz lacks the visual identity of its predecessors. I will admit, the idea of swapping out a belt for a bandolier is kinda cool, but at the same time, I feel as though it feeds into a honestly scummy theory I have about this series. Okay, so this cityscape that Kamen Rider Zeztz is resting on in this image is pretty cool, right? Well, apparently and unfortunately, it is not a cityscape because it's made with generative AI! Now, I don't want to have to talk about this at all. In fact, I would be more than happy to leave AI discussion off of this channel altogether. But I am an artist, and I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I take a great deal of pride in the art I make. And at the same time, I have learned to be very wary of entertainment companies like Warner Brothers, Disney, Nintendo, and more recently VShojo, because while sure there are plenty of talents working there who care a lot about the product that they're making, there are just as many dingbats on the corporate ladder above them that will screw them over at a moment's notice just for the sake of getting more money. Now, on the one hand, I can see it being a good choice to use AI-generated art because a lot of it has a bad dream feeling to it. It would honestly fit with a series focused on dreams. And admittedly, I have to set my expectations for the special effects in these shows pretty low because, well, Toei doesn't put the most care into them. But no matter how low my expectations for Toei are, I don't want the future of entertainment, let alone Kamen Rider, to look like this, or God forbid this. Now, I know it's not fair to lump all AI together like this, especially not all generative AI. Generative AI should be used as a tool to assist us. I'm sure that an AI could generate a perfectly serviceable outline for me to use for like a book or a script, but at the same time, I'd still delete about 90% of it because I only need its help with the formatting. The story is mine to tell my way. Same goes with the art side. You might not know how to visualize a certain idea that you have, and using a generative AI can help you visualize it. But at the end of the day, it's still your art being made your way. But that's what the corporations and the grifters aren't doing. Instead of using it as a baseline that could be enhanced in order to create a better product, these idiots take the unmodified AI-generated imagery wholesale from the internet. And normally I could have been persuaded to ignore the AI-generated backgrounds if it weren't for the fact that the writer himself looks AI-generated. Honestly, this is my hottest take in the entire video. I think that the Kamen Rider Zeztz suit looks like it was AI-generated. There are a lot of design choices on this suit that don't make sense. For example, why does Paradigm, the form based around size changing, get tech lines instead of Technolum? You know, the form with an actual robot arm and a tech theme? The choice to use a bandolier also feels AI generated, because to me, it doesn't come across as an intentional stylistic choice made by a designer, but instead it feels like a misinterpretation and misplacement made by an AI that doesn't know any better. Honestly, the prompt I can visualize them using in order to generate Zeztz was, if Kamen Rider Ichigo was in the MCU. And I'm more than a little aware of the fact that, yeah, this is kind of an extremely hot take. I literally had someone on Blue Sky block me just for saying that I thought the Kamen Rider Zeztz suit looks looks AI generated. I didn't even say anything to try to piss this user off, I just said my opinion and bam, blocked within a few seconds. Though in my defense, this was a person who was also claiming that this was the first suit since Kamen Rider 01 that wasn't complete dog shit. Now, some of you might say that call out is a bit hypocritical because I'm basically doing the same thing to the Zeztz suit, and no, I'm not. I am just saying that I don't like it and that I have reasons for not liking it. And if you like the Kamen Rider Zeztz suits, more power to you. I don't like them, but maybe you do for some reason. I don't know why you like them, and I really don't need to know the reason why you like them, but at the same time, you like them, and that's okay by me. I'm just trying to share my opinion, not force you to change yours, okay? We cool? Good. And let me be clear, I have nothing against AI insofar as it's being used as a tool, not a replacement for real artists. However, when you use it in an officially licensed TV show like this, I honestly feel pretty fucking insulted. Because you seem to think that I'm desperate enough for new content from this series that I'll accept anything that's shoveled into my mouth, even if it's a smoothie made from the eviscerated parts of other people's work that you were too lazy to pay them for. Well, Toei, I hate to say it to you, but I'm not desperate. Your use of AI has already tainted the well, and I'm not sure I'm ready to go back quite yet. But the biggest reason this show has me concerned for the future of Kamen Rider is just the fact that, well, it seems like it'll make a bad first impression on people. AI-generated media gets pretty bad press these days, and for good reason for the most part. And that begs the serious question, how many people is this gonna drive away who haven't even given the show an actual chance? And considering how my YouTube Shorts feed was quite recently lousy with AI-generated animations of Shreks and Olafs destroying IKEA, for as dumb as it sounds, I can't help but imagine the worst case scenario where the show gets lumped in with all that trash just because it has AI-generated imagery in it. That might sound a bit paranoid, but believe me, dumber things have happened on this internet. Toei has seemingly struggled getting this series outside of Japan, and I want them to continue doing it, but they might not if this series flops. I'll try to be as fair as I can towards the series and at least give episode 1 a chance. If it can't hook me before the end of that episode, well, I'm gonna try my darndest to make sure that no one watches Kamen Rider Zeztz because, well, I've already had the well tainted by the use of AI. And with that, I think I'm all out of things to say. I hope you enjoyed listening to me rant for a bit about Kamen Rider, and until next time, this is Firebyte27, over and out. See y'all next time!